While we're doing this. All right, cool. 9 o'clock on the dot, huh? Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Show Radio. This is episode 394 of The Show Radio. I'm your host, Andrew, and this is your source for tech, gaming, and entertainment news. Head over to theshowradio.info. Once again, that's theshowradio.info, and check out our past shows. While you're there, subscribe and tell a friend about the show. The show is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Now we have Alexa skill, so if you want to activate that, just say, Alexa, activate the Show Radio podcast, and you will be able to do that skill. And the other way you could do that is theshowradio.info/Alexa. That will take you there, and you'll be able to enable the skill there. So that's one of the newest things that we've introduced for the show in terms of the new additional content distribution platform. We're definitely excited about that for sure. The other thing I want to mention also, a couple of things that have been happening for this show. A lot of bonus episodes have been coming out. The recent one that we recorded was with Crystal O'Connor. Crystal O'Connor is part of the Libsyn podcast support team. And we actually dropped that bonus episode before this one. This one's actually going to drop this week. This week is the week of the 20th. Another thing I definitely want to mention as well is anything that we mention in this episode is going to be for the news week prior to this week. And that week would be the 12th through the 16th. So nothing in this episode is going to have anything that's going on this week. That's going to be part of 395. The way we're going to incorporate that. A lot of things going on. I got a bonus episode that I'm actually recording tomorrow. I recorded one today, and we're going to distribute that out very, very soon. So episode 394 of the Show Radio. Welcome. Definitely say what's up in the chats. I'm looking at that real time, and we have plenty to cover. The first thing I definitely wanted to mention at the very top is the Ninja Drake Fortnite crossover, right? So we saw that happening real time. I think the numbers were anywhere from 600,000 concurrents at one point for Ninja, all the way up to somewhere around 635,000 concurrents, which is breaking new records for that whole thing. And one of the things I realized that it did right away is shed some light on how powerful not only the Twitch platform is, but how powerful collaborations can happen so suddenly. So I don't know what you guys heard in relation to that whole conversation, but one of the things that I did hear was that it wasn't something that was planned by Epic or anything like that. It was just a mutual thing that happened where they just ended up playing with each other on Fortnite, and that ended up being the craze for that particular week, where even in a recent thing that we did see, that Tyler, also known as Ninja, was on CNBC, I believe, and he was talking about what he made, or I guess by the process of deduction, you can gauge how much he was making. So anywhere from, I think it was like $350,000 to $500,000 based on all the connections that he has that are pumping through his Twitch channel and stuff like that. So I thought that was an interesting conversation to have. It's an encouragement to the individuals who are planning to be any type of streamer, whether it's on the Twitch platform, the Mixer platform, or the Facebook platform itself. So that whole thing is an interesting conversation, as well as motivation for the individuals who are on the come up as it relates to Twitch and things like that. So that was exciting. So I did see that. Any comments on that? Anything that you guys have in the chat, please feel free to mention that, and I'll be looking at that on the fly. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the news that's going to be mentioned in this episode is going to be anything from the week of the 12th through the 16th. So whatever happened that week is, I guess, some of the bigger stories there we're going to talk about, and also doing a little journey, walk around, and ambiance in the background for this episode as well. Also, consider submitting questions at community@theshowradio.info, community@theshowradio.info for any questions that you guys want to submit. And if you want to join our Discord, definitely do that. theshowradio.info/Discord. That will take you there, and we'll start there. So I'm going to play a little journey while I'm doing that. And so those are the initial things at the very top. So let me know what you guys are thinking, what's on your mind, and what did you see last week that caught your attention. And we'll definitely go through those things as you record. So next thing I have, technology news. I'm going to jump right into it. Since there's since I don't have Daniela this evening, definitely shout outs to her. Don't have anyone to bounce back things off of as of tonight. Have you guys in the chat, so definitely chat with me. Let me know what you guys are thinking, that kind of a thing. One thing I did see in technology was iHeartMedia files for bankruptcy. That's going to be in the show notes. And the next thing that I want to mention there, did I watch the CNBC interview for Ninja? Yes, I did. And one of the things I did learn is that that was scheduled by his wife. They're an awesome duo, doing big things. I did watch it. I think the clip that I watched was about 3 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. I don't know if it was any more than that, but whatever CNBC posted in their on their Twitter profile is what I was able to catch. And I was very excited about the whole thing. I think it was really, really dope that that opportunity came to him, based on the relationship that he's built over the years. So I was really excited to see that whole thing, and definitely try. Welcome back to the show radio. And I did watch that, and I think it was really dope. If it's any longer than that, then I'll have to catch it on YouTube or something like that on the CNBC channel, the YouTube channel. If it was the 3 minute and 50 second max, I guess that was the main video, then I was able to catch that. So one of the things I definitely want to mention in this episode, while we're under technology stuff, is how I go about booking interviews, right? Because I definitely want to share information with you guys that make it easy for me to perform and book interviews with individuals, whether it's a bonus episode or anything like that. So if you've noticed anything as of late, or you've been paying attention, which I'm sure you have, when we're recording the episodes for the show radio, there are two pillars right now that we're sitting on, right? So there's the pillar of the bonus episodes, right? So you have that. And then there's the main episodes that we record on Twitch. Okay, so you have those two things. Now, I typically record the bonus episodes. I book those or whatever, right? And for the main episodes, whether it's 394, 395, et cetera, that usually happens on a weekend where Daniela's usually with me. We record that episode, and then it goes from there, right? So that's pretty much the setup right now. So a lot of bonus episodes are going to come from me, because I can book them really quick. And at the same time, there's a big time difference between Daniela and I, which is 6 hours, and we make that work to the best of our ability. So I have one today, which I already recorded. I have to edit that. I have one tomorrow. I have one I did on Friday, and there may be more to come. Okay, so the process that I use to be, I guess, as efficient with it is it goes a little something like this, okay? I downloaded, I shouldn't say downloaded, I created an account with this thing called Uber Conference, okay? So Uber Conference gives you a free conference number that you can use to have conference calls and conversations, right? So as you have, as you're having these conversations, if you set up your Uber Conference account and you actually fill in all the information that's required for the account itself, you unlock the ability to record that conversation, okay? So you have a free Uber Conference account, you get a number and a PIN, and whoever you're setting that conversation up with, then you tell them what that PIN is, okay? So that's the first step, right? And the number. And then from there, you get their email, and you schedule that on your Google Calendar. So I'll say, hey, Jason, let's have a conversation. Would love to have a podcast with you, blah, 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 blah. And then let's set that up. What's your schedule like this week or next week? So they gave me, let's say, well, this week on the 23rd, by way of an example, I have this, and that happening. All right, so can you slot an hour for this? Yeah, we can. All right, so let's do Thursday at 3 p.m. Cool, okay. So then I open up my Google Calendar, which is free. Uber Conference is free, so free things, right, already. And some of the prerequisites, if you wanted to do that, is a mic like this, right, which is not necessary because you can use your phone to do the conference call and it gets recorded. So far we have a phone that you probably have already, a free conference call number, okay, and Google Calendar, which is free as well. So far you're not spending anything, okay? So then you open up the Google Calendar, you put in the information, you put in the email, it sends that invite to the individual, and then you're set, okay? You in the description of that event, you make sure that you put the phone number and the PIN, and then that's it. So when the day comes, you guys I usually join the call, I would say 5 minutes, 7 minutes before the actual conference is supposed to happen. I'd much rather get there before the guest. I don't know. It's just me. So I get there before the guest, and then they show up. Then we start having a conversation. I'll say something like that. Hey, Try, is there something that you want to eliminate or not even bring up in this conversation? You tell me what those things are. I pretty much already have a format of how we're going to make this thing work. And then from there, we start the conversation. So I'll say anything that we've agreed that we're not going to mention, that's not going to be in the conversation. Post-production, I'm going to edit all that stuff or whatever. Okay, cool. We have the conversation. The conversation happens for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, or whatever. I cut whatever I need to cut. So basically what happens, once you're done with the conversation, I let the guest leave, okay? I'm the first one to show up, the last one to leave on the conference line. That's just my thing, okay? So I let the guest leave at the end of the conversation, and then I leave, okay? So once I leave, whatever Uber Conference does, it processes the MP3, and then it sends it to you in your email. So now you have a recorded conversation of the MP3 that you just had with Jason or whoever it is, right? So now you have that. So now all you have to do is just trim it, cut the top, cut the bottom, put your intro, your call to actions, you make that a podcast. Now, if you can't do that, okay, because there's always reasons why people feel like podcasting is very difficult, okay? So, for example, take for example one of the recent conversations I had, right? Kevin Dent was one of the recent bonus episodes. He was on vacation in Europe with his family, okay? So when you're trying to do the Discord thing, the Skype thing, and whatever the voice over IP thing that you want to do, sometimes it may not work like that. Sometimes the only thing you're going to have is a conference call number and the person's information. So if I'm trying to get individuals who are so mobile that they're not necessarily going to connect to a Discord or connect to a Skype, which Skype right now is not my top of the list for anything. It's not even part of our resources on the showradio.info. So if I'm trying to get a A-list or B-list or whatever the case might be, sometimes the mobile is the best way for me to do it. So now I could do the Uber conference thing while I'm mobile myself, or the other way you can do it is through the PC. So now the recent conversation I had today, which you'll probably be able to tell the quality of my mic on this upcoming conversation, is because I did it with this mic through my PC. So Uber Conference you could use either on your phone or on your PC. I had the conversation with this person. It was a great conversation. The audio quality was great. I still have to do my post-production stuff. And then that's pretty much the bottom line. So this can be done anywhere, pretty much everywhere, right? So if the person doesn't have a Discord, you can use this. If the person doesn't have Skype, you can use this. And I think that a lot of conversations I listen to, you can tell the difference in the quality of the audio that it was recorded another way. Okay, so you can tell if it's Skype or Discord if you have the ear for it. I don't have the ear for it per se, but I could tell if it's a telephone conversation, right? So a lot of the major sports podcasts that you listen to, when they're recording their conversations and they're doing their interviews, you could tell that it was a conversation that was recorded over either a phone line or some kind of device like that. Okay, so but you still took the time to you still listen to the conversation because the value that it brought to you based on the content that the person was delivering. So it really didn't matter if it was a conference call number, if it was Discord, if it was a double ender, if it was Skype. It really didn't matter. The fact that the conversation was recorded, processed, and placed in a format that you can actually listen to and consume, you were able to benefit and from that content that you believe will bring you value. So that's pretty much it. So Nasty, you playing PC, you playing D2 on PC, that's dope. That's pretty dope, and your PC is pretty lit since you just got that recently. So that's how I do it. So so in addition to that, I definitely want to continue the thought process that I have right now. The conversations that we have for episode 394, whatever that number is, as we run through 400, right? We have that on Discord, right? I try to use Discord. I'll try to use Skype on my Linux machine, and that thing was a nightmare. Okay, so at this stage in the game, it's either Discord and the conference line. There's really no other way. Let's say, for instance, I got the opportunity to have a conversation with Major Nelson, and he's on the move, right? And he's mobile, and he's going from meetings to meetings, and I have 15 minutes with him. Do you think he's going to actually prep and sit down somewhere to do Discord or Skype? No, he's not going to do that. If he has his phone, he's going to jump on a conference line. And what's cool about the conference line, too, is that if a PR representative for the individual needs to be on the conversation, right? If the PR conversation, if the PR individual needs to be in on the conversation as well. So let's say you go into a room and then you have the PR person there, the person that you want to interview, and then they have somebody else in the room. All those individuals could be on a conference call with you to make sure that whatever you agreed to that you're going to have a conversation about happens. Okay, does the person calling in use a special phone number? The same conference number that you have is the number they dial into. So whatever number you give them, right, you say, hey, this is my conference line. This is the PIN. We'll see you at 3 o'clock on Thursday, p.m., Eastern Standard Time. I'm on the line at 2:55, 2:54. They show up at 3 o'clock, 3:01. They showed up, right? So now we're going to have a conversation, whatever that is, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, over there. So my number doesn't change. So that conference number that I'm giving, the comic, who's new on the scene, or the Twitch streamer that I want to have a conversation with is the same number that I'm giving out. And then once they come into the actual call, I can lock the line so nobody else comes in. Or I can ask them, do you have somebody else coming in the line, to monitor our conversation? They can say yeah or no. Once the person comes in, then I lock the line with the two individuals that's part of the conversation as well as myself. And then once an additional person comes on while I was waiting, which will make two people, it automatically starts recording. And then once we're done with the conversation, it automatically processes the MP3 and sends it to your email. I think that process has allowed me to do more podcasts. If the number is 7, I could probably do 7 to 12 of these if it's pretty consistent and I'm getting a lot of yeses, than someone thinking about doing a podcast like last week. That's a little bold. That sounds arrogant, but it's true. So if I'm doing these conversations, I'm scheduling them every day or every other day. So take, for instance, 3 of them are already done, right? Friday was 1. Today was 1. And then tomorrow is scheduled to be another one. So that's already 3. So if somebody's thinking about doing a podcast and they're like, well, yeah, I need all this equipment and stuff like that, I'm showing you that you really don't need those things, right? And I think that in and of itself should be encouraging for all the individuals who are trying to create content. So that's what I do. So Uber Conference, which enters into the MP3. The only way you get the MP3 feature for that is if you fill out all the information they ask you in the profile system settings or whatever. Once you do that, then you're able to do your thing and enjoy that kind of a thing. So that's pretty much it. Any other comments on that, let me know. I definitely want to share that with you guys. I think it should be an encouragement to all the individuals who are recording. Okay, so some more additional thoughts, right? I think if they're calling from London, well, I think it would be the same thing, right? They would just have to dial in whatever the code for that thing, right? So if the number is, let's say, 631, 555-1234, whatever that needs to translate for them to call into that thing, it'll be the same thing. Because so that number doesn't change. So however Kevin Dent, who was in the UK on vacation with his family, called into that line, if he had, maybe he has a double SIM, right? I don't know if the SIM thing is the number thing, however that works. Because I haven't had anybody call from a UK number to the conference line, but he was in the UK when he called me. That's all I know. Okay, so that's pretty much, hopefully that answered that question, right? So that's what you have there. So a couple of things, I guess if you have anything else, let me know. I'll definitely address those things. A few things in the entertainment news. I did see a Wrinkle in Time director Ava DuVernay's next project will be the DECU movie, The New Gods. I did see that. There's this Tomb Raider fan film. There's this Tomb Raider fan film I did watch, which was recently added to YouTube. If you just say Tomb Raider fan film and then you filter it by the recently added, you find that. I think it's about 3 to 5 minutes. It was cool. It was cool. It wasn't anything crazy. It's definitely promotional for the person that is doing the project, the fan film, as well as being excited for the actual movie, Tomb Raider itself. So that's pretty cool. But the thing that I really want to talk about, definitely want to touch on, because I watched it twice, is this OJ, The Lost Confessions impressions. So I don't know if you guys saw that. So let me know in the chat if you actually saw the OJ thing. The OJ is a very interesting individual. I guess I'll start there. I still don't know what to make of the O.J. Simpson, The Lost Confessions thing after I watched it. I watched it twice. One with a buddy of mine and then one solo. And I'm watching this thing and I'm like, this guy gave a hypothetical situation of the murders that took place. And that video that was released was, what was that? Recorded in 2006, right? And then they had a little panelist set up, Soledad O'Brien, a domestic violence expert, there was another guy, a guy that is expert in people lying or something like that. I can't think of. Interrogator expert or former interrogator type guy, and then you had one of Nicole's best friend, you had the prosecutor attorney, and then you had the lady that conducted the interview for the OJ, The Lost Confessions in 2006. So man, I watched that thing, I was just like, who would even do that, right? So I was going through that whole thing. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, should I be surprised that I'm watching someone go through that discourse as it relates to his former wife? And then the other thing that was interesting too is the fact that he kept the same energy when his wife was alive than when she passed away. I was like, okay, so now that she's gone. Okay, this was recorded back in 2006. You still have anger towards the fact that she it was crazy. It was crazy to me. So I was trying to process that whole thing. I still don't even know what to do with it, but it was just a wild thing. So if you have not seen that yet, and you want to see it just for context purposes, just for context, right? I think it's definitely something worth watching. That what was that? An hour and 20 minutes or something like that. It was something like that. So definitely check that out. Avengers Infinity War trailer, that was crazy. If you're into Avengers, any Marvel stuff, I think that that whole build for the next movie is going to be really, really dope. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what they're going to do with that. And it's Marvel. Marvel does awesome things. So definitely looking for more of that. So this is the part I would say, any comments and thoughts on that to whoever's with me. So yeah, definitely want to hear your thoughts on that in relation to the OJ thing. Avengers Infinity War, are you excited about that? Are you looking forward to that? Let me know. I'll double back in relation to that particular conversation, and we can definitely go from there. So I got a couple of quick hits. Jeff Goldblum will star in Frontier's new dinosaur theme park game, Jurassic World Evolution. Pillars of Eternity 2's release has been delayed from April 3rd to May 8th. So that's a thing. Just over a year after Nier Automata's release, Square Enix has announced that the title has now shipped over 2.5 million. And we'll just run through these. Since its initial open beta launch in 2013, Warframe has reached over 38 million registered players. And that's okay. So I'll talk about that a little bit, because there's so many good. Let me see where I want to go with this. There's so many great free options of games right now. Right? You have Fortnite, okay, with the Battle Royale thing. You have the PUBG Battle Royale. You have Paladins Team Deathmatch mode. You have that. You have Warframe, which is pretty amazing. So there's so many different games right now that you can play for free. The only thing you have to do is download them. Right? That's all you have to do. You just have to download them. There's a lot of good stuff out right now. So Fortnite, I'm fairly new to the gameplay of that. I'm still trying to get comfortable playing it, because I'm not used to the Battle Royale stuff. So the building as well as fighting at the same time is really interesting. The pros do it really well, especially when they're on PC, so I'm still learning how to do that whole dynamic of gameplay when it comes to the Battle Royale stuff. The Team Deathmatch for Paladins, I guess I can talk about that a little bit since I played that, is really good. Paladins is a really beautiful game, so I'm looking forward to seeing more from that. And since there's no more, since Epic is really focusing on Fortnite right now, you can see how much time that they're putting into it, because it's really, really good. So you have that. So the director of 2001's Devil May Cry has taken to Twitter recently to talk about remaking the first game. They're definitely interested in doing that. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 2018 Spotted Narcos video game announced. I don't know if I'll necessarily play the Narcos thing. I don't know if that would be a thing for me. But it depends on what kind of game it is, you know, because a lot of the ongoing games are a thing now, because that's the product, right? A lot of the ongoing games, the battle royales or anything similar to that the companies are taking advantage of right now, that is the main product that's being pushed. Until we get tired of that product, we're going to continue seeing it. So some individuals may be really upset about the fact that, yeah, every game is going to be adding the battle royale, but that product is allowing individuals to go to that game because it is a popular product right now. So if we look at it that way, then we'll say, hey, you know, maybe it's not so bad, whether it's a fighting game or a shooting game, right? FPS or 3PS or whatever it is, the Battle Royale component is going to continue being the thing until it's not the thing anymore. So if it's trending now, it may be trending for a little bit longer, especially come the spring into summer, summer into winter for the other games that are coming out. When Halo 6 come out, do you think Halo will follow Battle Royale? I think they would be very ignorant if they did not. Because if there's another game I'm going to talk about later on, it's kind of like a PvP, PvE from the ex-Halo people. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. The way that the games are being built, they're welcoming the fact that Battle Royale is an option, right? Every man for themselves. So if you didn't consider that, so if you remember the things that you heard about Halo 5, right? They were making so many changes to the game to bring you a product that would compete against the Destinies or whatever was hot as the ongoing game, with adding cooperative features and making it somewhat of a PvE type feel, right? So you had to adopt to whatever was going on with the trend to remain afloat, right? So if Halo 6 comes out and I wouldn't say, when you say Halo kind of started, definitely give more context, because free-for-all is free-for-all, right? Free-for-all has been in a lot of games for a long time. So free-for-all has been in a lot of games for a long time. But in terms of, yeah, definitely. So as Straight is saying, Halo 5 was a mix of COD and Halo trying hard to mix both games into one, and it was not good. I'm on the fence to agree and disagree, because there are a lot of things that Halo 5 did right that is still a solid PvP experience, right? That it doesn't get credit for, even though it was the standard for a very long time. Okay, so a lot of the games that we're getting now with awesome PvP experiences are built off the back of games that started based on what Tribe was saying before, in terms of having that great experience for individuals to play. Okay, so I'm never going to say that it was bad, because the campaign had a lot of issues, but the core gameplay for the PvP portion of Halo right now, if I throw that in, you'll see that it's still a solid thing for the franchise itself. So I'm on the fence, but when it comes to the ongoing games and all the things that we're seeing from the BR games that are coming out, any company that is considering to compete and have people pay attention to their games, and they're not going to put the Battle Royale product or even consider infusing it later on into their core experience some way, shape, or form, they're going to lose, right? Because that's the product right now. So if you're building a game, you're going to make sure that that is in there somewhere, because it's going to benefit individuals to come to your world, whatever that world is, the Call of Duty world, the Halo world, the Scavengers world, whatever that world is. It's going to allow individuals to be part of that world and enjoy your game, and at the same time enjoy a product that is really popular right now, that if you decide not to consider and you dismiss it, you're going to lose. That's really what that looks like. But definitely keep throwing some comments. I definitely want to hear your additional comments on those things. Street Fighter 30th anniversary exclusive Twitch mode, that's going to be a thing. If you have the original PlayStation 3, the first version of the PlayStation, Sony may owe you some cash. That's a thing. So Nasty You says, maybe it's because I lost interest and I left the game and did not look back. I did hear the PvP experience got better, just did not revisit. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? So over time, we know for a fact that the individuals who are working on the Halo games, they're going to make sure at least the PvP is going to be a great experience, right? And it is. It is really, really good. The Griff Ball portion is really good. It's a solid multiplayer. So here's the thing, right? Every time I go back to play Halo, for whatever reason, I'm in awe how great the soundtrack still is, right? And how great the gameplay is, which is why it's tough for me to just get rid of certain games. Certain games will always remain in my library, right? Because they're great games. And if I have a duplicate of a game, that game will, definitely be sent to the library or something like that. But if you ever consider revisiting it again, I think you should. The game that we've loved and enjoyed for a very long time, Destiny 2, that in and of itself is getting a whole new facelift, if you want to say that, right? That is that I'm waiting to see what changes they're going to make to that game to make us play it again. So I'm definitely on the fence with that. But core experiences as far as gameplay is concerned, Halo still has an awesome multiplayer component. It's still very competitive. We're just not paying attention to it as much as we used to. So you have that. Okay, so a couple of things. We have Capcom announced that Devil May Cry Dante is heading to Monster Hunter World later this year. You have that. I mentioned Sony may owe you some money, some cash. Sega released a cryptic teaser for a new racing game during its Sonic the Hedgehog panel at South by Southwest. That's a thing. Any comments on that? Let me know in the chat. Just keep me posted on that. So you have that. Sega has announced Valkyria Chronicles 4 will be released this fall in North America and Europe. Super Bomberman R is coming to PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox in June, along with unique platform exclusive characters. So there's a lot of things going on with Sega right now, and one of the things that, I definitely agree. That the Halo soundtrack is still one of my all-time favorite soundtracks as well. Nasty. It's just that when it comes to all these games that we have at our disposal now, is what is motivating me to put the game in and play it, right? Like, what motivated me earlier to put in Gears? Because Gears to me is like a movie on screen, right? Especially Gears 3. You throw in an arcade mode for Gears, there's a lot going on there. Between the collaboration with your characters, the monsters, the dialogue. So Gears 3, as I was playing it earlier, I realized how much awesome that game still has, right? So we used to go to arcades all the time and put a quarter in and then just join a game. That's pretty much what I was doing in Gears earlier today. I picked the arcade mode and I just joined whatever game was going on. And I think that we've gotten so technologically advanced in our ways, we forget how much these games have come, how far they've come, right? So the Gears 3 arcade is really dope. I was really having a good time, and I played it for a long time earlier today. So just there's so many different experiences that I'm actually going back to, because I spent so much time playing the FPSs of the world that I forgot games like Journey and Gone Home and all those other games that I played, and I was like, wow. I was so caught up in FPSs only, I missed a lot of different experiences. So, that kind of thing. Sega's launching a compilation of classic Mega Drive games on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. That's going to be a link in the show notes as well. Show notes, you're going to be able to find that at theshowradio.info/394. That's going to be the hot link for that once the episode goes up. So definitely look for that. Yakuza Kiwami 2 announced, and I definitely want to spend a little bit of time talking about that, because I've been playing Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, and let me tell you, man, I've been having a great time playing that. And the feeling that I'm getting playing that is that of when I first started playing Final Fantasy VII, and how much was in Final Fantasy VII. That's the feeling that I'm getting when I'm playing Yakuza, The Song of Life. So, from what I understand, Yakuza Kiwami was released in one of them was recently released in December, and then we're getting Kiwami 2 in August, right? That's then announced for August. So playing the game Yakuza 6 Song of Life has been a very, very awesome experience for me. So definitely shout outs to Sega for the opportunity. Been having a lot of fun doing that. And then in the midst of me playing Yakuza 6 Song of Life, they announced, like, literally the next day or the next day, and it felt like it was the next day, they announced Yakuza Kiwami 2, which I'm excited about because I heard that was good, as well as Yakuza 0, I've heard good things about. I've also heard good things about Yakuza Kiwami, the first one. So there's a lot going on right now in the space of RPG fighting games, the mishmash of that. So I'm excited about what's happening there. So Final Fantasy VII, a little bit about Final Fantasy VII. A Square Enix job listing for Final Fantasy VII reveals that the company is hiring level planners for the game to meet fan expectations and increase quality. So another thing there is we've been waiting for the next Final Fantasy VII, if you will, remake or whatever, to come out. That's been a slow moving train, right? And individuals are still trying to be hopeful about it, and that's really what that is. That speaks to me. This next thing is a Game for Change video compilation. This was a YouTube video that I saw, and it was really, really fantastic. It's basically a response to Trump in regards to the video game makes everybody violent thing, that whole thing. And this was surrounding all the drama-filled games, the drama games, the adventure games. And this video was a compilation of all the awesome things that we've seen the last 2-3 years as it relates to gaming. I think 2-3 years. It may go back a little bit further than that, but that video was really, really dope. You have that, so that's going to be in the show notes as well. Star Wars Battlefront 2 progression changes, and that's been its own nightmare because the game is great. It's Star Wars, but it's had its challenges. Right? So I guess that's all I have there. You know, hopefully it gets to a place where, okay, so I'm getting the bridge built right now. I got 2 bridges. All right, that's dope. That's dope. So I'm able to go up there. Okay. So hopefully it gets to a place where we can actually say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pick up Star Wars Battlefront 2 because it's still dope. It's still worthy of my time to play the game. As of right now, as they're making all the different changes that they're making to it, it's still something that people are not necessarily excited about because of all the heat it took when the game first was announced, with all the microtransaction stuff and all the different things that the game had going not necessarily right for it at that time, right? So you have that. Next thing we have here is BioWare writer Drake Fortnite has left BioWare for a second time. He's leaving to pursue personal projects and to work with 21st Century Fox, expanding game division Fox Next, and new studio Fog Bank Entertainment. So that's a thing. If you've been following that, that's the update on that. Twitch announced free games with Prime, a new program akin to PlayStation Plus and Xbox Games with Gold that grants Twitch Prime subscribers a selection of free games each month they can download and keep forever. Okay, so I'm somewhat excited about that because free games, that's dope, but I think I have to download a program that's a Windows program for me to access to those to get access to those free games. So that doesn't really help me because of the choices that I've made in terms of what platform I'm using to produce content, right? So that's me. That's my problem. And but in terms of getting free games, very, very similar to the products that the PlayStation Plus and Xbox Games with Gold offers, I think that's pretty exciting for the individuals who are always spending their time on Twitch. So that's good stuff right there. So that's what's going on there. The legendary White Wolf returns. Geralt of Rivia steps into the stage of history in Soul Calibur 6. I think it's 6, right? Yeah, it's 6. So that's exciting. because Geralt is a dope character from the Witcher series, and Soul Calibur is a dope game. So I think that collaboration, it seems like a perfect fit for that. And if you're interested in the Soul Calibur series, I think it was like a no-brainer, because when they announced that he was going to be in an upcoming game, you could easily narrow down that it was going to be like Soul Calibur. So that wasn't necessarily a big surprise to the individuals who were expecting him to be in a dope game, specifically a fighting game too. So you have that. Okay, so we were talking about the Battle Royale stuff earlier, right? So Activision is said to be keenly aware of the successful Battle Royale formula. Okay, so I mentioned it as a product earlier. They mentioned it as a formula, right? Of games like PlayerUnknown's Battleground and Fortnite. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit more, right? This product formula, so let's use their words too, is a very successful formula. As we individuals who cover the content in any way, shape, or form get irritated that another company is going to consider putting that product formula in their whatever product that they're releasing, we shouldn't be upset or irritated about that, right? Because it's a product that is attracting many individuals to their thing. Okay, so if you remember Titanfall, right? I don't know if it was Titanfall first or whatever company started doing the running on walls thing. I think it was Titanfall. Then the verticality became the word of the trending at that time. Verticality this, verticality that, right? Running on walls, adding all these super futuristic soldiers in every upcoming game. Zombies became a product in a lot of games. We need a zombie mode. One company started, putting the zombie mode into their games, and a whole bunch of other companies followed suit because that was the product formula that was working at the time, right? Then it became, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, the futuristic soldiers thing. That became a product that was working for a long time until companies was like, you know what? Let's go back to the skill-based 1v1 type experience where it's your skill set that's going to allow you to win some of these 1v1 encounters, to the effect that when you're playing Call of Duty World War, whatever that number is, I think it's World War II, there's a 1v1 mode in the quote-unquote tower section where everybody meets up, and it has a little leaderboard thing. Okay, so when the products that are bringing you a value as well as attention, you're going to put that in your game or whatever that you're working on. So that's pretty much what's going on there. So Activision is said to be keenly aware of the successful Battle Royale formula of games like PlayerUnknown's Battleground and Fortnite. Another thing I remember seeing about that was the fact that they are going to quickly implement, if necessary, based on whatever trending that's happening with this product. So you have that. What else we have? Metal Gear Peace Walker HD. That is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier and Axel and Pixel. I think all those are backwards compatible now. I think that's a thing. If you're interested in baseball, definitely consider signing up for the Super Mega Baseball 2 closed beta, if that's still a thing. Definitely check that out. If you're into baseball, I like baseball. I like more analogies when it comes to baseball. I think that we were talking about podcasting and stuff earlier. I think every time I record and publish a podcast, that's a new at-bat, right? And I think that sometimes I strike out. Sometimes I get a base hit. Sometimes I get a home run, right? But the more I'm at bat, the more I get comfortable with being at the plate to swing, right? So if I'm not swinging, if I'm sitting on the bench and I'm not swinging at all, I'm not going to exercise the muscle that's going to allow me to get better, right? So I like the baseball. So correct me if I'm wrong. For baseball, if you're hitting 375, that's like really good, right? 37% of the time, because I think the 375 is out of 1,000, right? Because they say batting 1,000. So 37% of the time, if you're hitting the ball, you are one of the great players in baseball. Okay, so if your average is anywhere, I could be completely wrong with the baseball stuff, but I'm sure I'll get corrected later on. If I'm anywhere between 275 and 320 in baseball, right, I am really good. Okay, and in basketball, if your average for 3-point, the 3-point average is anywhere between 37 and 42%, you are lethal. Right? You are lethal. If you're anywhere between 37% and 42% from the 3-point range in basketball, you are lethal. If you're anywhere between 275 and 325 in baseball, you are deemed a great player. So if that's all it takes, you just have to show up and play. You just have to, hit the ball, or you just have to shoot the jumper, whatever you need to do. So Nasty says the Modern Warfare games are being brought back, and I think that is so dope. That trilogy is my all-time fave. So much fun memories playing. Yeah, especially Modern Warfare 2, which is rumored to come out soon. The remastered, that is. Oh yeah, so. Love it. Love Call of Duty. We've loved it for a long time. I haven't played as much Call of Duty the last 2 years as I've played in the previous 5 or 6. Just playing different games and stuff like that. Let me actually go in the direction I'm supposed to be going. Where's the bridges at? So let me go this way. Yeah, so looking forward to seeing what they're going to do there. I wouldn't be surprised if they're making a comeback with it. So that's what's happening with that. So yeah, so the baseball thing, basketball thing, is really stunning to me. I think I got 2 more things, and then we'll begin wrapping up the actual recording for episode 394. If you guys have any comments and questions and thoughts as we begin to wrap up, please let me know. For sure. E3 2018, Microsoft readies biggest E3 showing ever. Okay, so I actually want to open that up and see what that is, okay? Because that's one of the things I definitely want to open up. So that goes to E3 2018, that is 32. And let me see what that is right there. It's backwards compatibility. All right. I want to see what they're talking about. Because I was just having this conversation with a buddy of mine in relation to what companies are doing and the changes that they're making to focus on their community. According to what I've seen recently in the news, Microsoft is making changes to venues as well as what it's offering. Okay, so let me click. Okay, this just shows. I'm trying to see exactly what it says here. Since Xbox made its first appearance at the Electronic Entertainment Expo E3 in 2000, Xbox had a major presence at the show, delivering exclusive and powerful ways to let fans in on what we're up to, and 2018 will be no different. In fact, it will be our biggest showing ever. With the evolution of E3 not including fans and extended show hours, we saw the opportunity to create an entirely new show experience, reaching E3 attendees and those that are following the show from afar. With that, in collaboration with the Entertainment Software Association, the organizers of E3 were excited to announce that Xbox will be taking over the Microsoft Theater, a perfectly situated space located in the heart of LA, live and across the street from the Los Angeles Convention Center. Okay, so they're across the street this year. They're not in the spot. Okay, the Microsoft Theater will be home to official E3 events like the Xbox E3 2018 briefing on June 10th, 2018 at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, various Xbox FanFest activities, hands-on gameplay and demos for all E3 attendees, and more. Not only does the Microsoft Theater allow us to centralize our Xbox presence at E3, yes, I repeated that twice, but its size enables us to include even more fans and partners in the Xbox E3 2018 briefing than ever before. Okay, so here's my take on all that. Okay, so far, where am I? Okay, I'm gonna read the rest of it too. This is good stuff. So there's a lot of changes happening in the E3 spot, obviously, that was mentioned. The fact that a lot of companies are focusing so much on their community that they're moving away from the convention center floor because of the traffic that is included now with the Gamer Pass individuals. You have that. Okay, so if it was me, I would do exactly what Microsoft is doing, or any company. If I want you to focus on everything that I'm bringing to the table, and I want to have a great experience with you, or I want you to have a great experience with everything that I'm doing, I want less noise in that process. Okay, now if it costs me less and I have a great experience with the potential buyers and any individual that's going to look at our stuff, this is a great move to make, right? We've seen other companies make that move. We've seen other companies do their press conference announcement, game announcement, product line announcement from afar, away from the show floor. Because if I know who my avatar is, and I know who my audience is, and I know what they like, and I want to have them be as comfortable as possible, but at the same time in tune with everything that we're doing, so it doesn't get lost in the crowds, I will do what they're doing, right? And any company that's doing that, this is not a trend that's going to stop if the Gamer Pass people is going to be something that's here to stay, right? So you have that. In addition to the Microsoft Theater, we will continue to have a meaningful presence at the LACC with a new booth completely dedicated to Mixer. Okay, so they still have a little presence there where you can play, stream, and interact with games and catch the latest E3 news live throughout the entire week. Okay, so these changes, expanding our presence, multiple venues taking over the Microsoft Theater, give us the opportunity to bring together a variety of Xbox experiences into one primary location, and most importantly, let fans in on what we're up to in 2018 and beyond in a fresh new way, right? Kind of some of the things I already said. So mark your calendars for the Xbox E3 2018 briefing for June 10th, 2018 at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to kick off the week of E3 with us. When is the 10th? Does that fall? I gotta look at what that day is. We're excited and we'll have plenty more to share on our E3 2018 plan soon. Stay tuned to the Xbox Wire for an update in April. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So a lot of companies are doing this. It makes sense. It kills the extra noise that the company does not want for the product stuff, right? They want you to be focused on everything that they're doing, and they don't want to get lost in all the other stuff that's going on, especially around E3. And as I mentioned before, if you have the opportunity to go to E3, you should go. Whatever that looks like for you, at least experience it one time. If you decide to go, other times after that, that's great. But I think that everybody who loves games, who loves this industry, however you want to define that, should attend at least one time. That's how I feel about it. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. Next thing, let me see. I want to share with you guys is Square Enix has formally announced Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's a thing, which will be released on September 14th. For PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, including PS4 Pro and Xbox One X versions. The third in the rebooted Tomb Raider series will deliver Lara Croft's defining moment. So that's probably the last. That's the singing song. What is the swan song, they call it? Not the singing song, the swan song. That's the last one or whatever. Maybe. and that's what's going on with that. So last thing I definitely want to mention before we start closing out with call to actions and stuff like that is Scavengers. We kind of briefly talked about Scavengers earlier on. Scavengers is a PvP PvE project from former Halo contributors, okay? And I'm really excited about this project because of the things that they showed, I think, earlier last week. They had a little video, a little vid doc, you know, talking about some of the things that they're doing. They showed a couple of pictures, you know, they showed some assets that they're planning to do, some technology that they're using, that kind of a thing, and it's really exciting stuff. So Midwinter Entertainment reveals new game Scavengers, and that is going to be the next game if you're into the Divisions, if you're into the Destiny 1, 2, that type of game, right? The Scavengers is definitely a game that should be on your radar. We're going to have a link for the YouTube video there for sure, and I'm really excited about it. Some of the things that I saw was things that they're merging together the best of all the experiences that they've had with Halo and things that they've seen from afar with Destiny, and even what Division has incorporated into their game. So I'm seeing like a great hybrid of those three experiences into this Scavenger experience with the way they're going to treat PvP and PvE, and that is going to be the next ongoing game. I think that's going to be in my library for sure. So definitely look into that. Midwinter Entertainment reveals a new game. New game is called Scavengers. There's going to be a YouTube video in the show notes for that. And that's pretty much all I have for episode 394 of the show radio. I hope you enjoyed this format. A little ambiance in the back, a little journey gameplay here and there, conversations in the chat. Definitely appreciate you guys hanging out for this particular episode of the show radio. It's a little bit more tight-knit because the additional conversations I would have, I am not having them tonight because our awesome Daniela is putting out some fires, so shout outs to her and hope everything is well. Definitely a shout outs to you guys for hanging in the chat for sure. And so here's the thing, right? Definitely thanks for watching and listening to the show. Join our community on Discord. That is something that we're promoting heavily because we want you guys with us whenever we start a live stream. For sure, feedbacks and tips, community at theshowradio.info, community at theshowradio.info, and never miss a show. As far as the podcast is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of bonus coming. I got some in the pipeline. I got one recording tomorrow. I got one I'm editing right now. I got some that we already posted, which is already in the feed. So definitely look at and pay attention to the things that we're doing because we want to make sure that we're putting out content for you guys to enjoy. So definitely look into that for sure. So that's all we have for this episode 394. News that we covered this week was from the week of the 12th through the 16th. And I hope you guys enjoyed this format a little bit. I was able to see your comments. I was really excited about that and I appreciate you guys for sure. And tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday. There's supposed to be a big snow day, so we're going to be in. I may stream tomorrow, so definitely log in, connect with us so we can stay in touch. And tomorrow I can do a little bit more streaming stuff and hopefully put this episode out as soon as possible. We'll see how that goes with the editing process. And guys, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.